The colony of Vassenfor sat like a tired fortress in the middle of a dead land. Tall energy walls hummed day and night, glowing blue under the orange sky. People inside did not laugh much. They worked with quiet faces and closed hearts, always waiting for the alarm that warned of beasts outside. They lived, but nobody could say they lived well. Outside the walls, the world was a graveyard of other civilizations. Broken starships were half buried in sand. Alien bones lay under cracked stones. Strange plants with glowing veins shook when the wind touched them, like they remembered pain. It was not a place for normal people. It was a place only hunters walked. Evan was one of those hunters. He did not look like a hero from stories. His armor plates were old and scratched. His rifle was heavy and patched with tape. His boots had holes from acid burns. When he passed through the town market, people did not cheer or greet him with pride. Instead, they stepped aside silently, watching him like he was a ghost carrying death on his shoulders. Evan did not blame them. He did not hunt beasts for honor or fame. He killed because people paid him to kill. That was all. Every creature he shot gave him credits. Credits bought food for him and his sick mother. Credits bought medicine that kept her alive one more week, then one more month. Credits kept a roof over their heads. In a cruel universe, a man learned to love credits more than dreams. He did not talk much about his past. Most hunters liked to brag about scars and battles. Evan spoke only when needed. After a job, he came back through the gate, dragged his beast kill to the scanning office, collected his credits, and then disappeared into the older part of the colony where he lived. People whispered about him. That man doesn't feel anything. That man is cursed. That man will die outside someday. Evan ignored all of it. Feelings did not pay medical bills. Pride did not stop dying. He was not a hero. He was a worker, a quiet soldier against monsters. Nothing more, but at night, when his mother slept and the medicine machine beeped slowly, Evan would sit in the small kitchen with the lights off, and the dreams would return. Every night, the same dream came like a punishment. He saw a tower burning, a tall structure of metal and glass screaming with fire. He heard a child crying a scream that felt like it was being torn from his own lungs. Smoke, black as death, wrapped around him. And behind the smoke, a shape moved slow, tall and unreal, with eyes like molten gold. Then everything exploded in white light, and he woke up with sweat on his skin and pain in his chest. He never told anyone about the dream, not even his mother. He believed dreams were just tricks of the mind, but this dream felt like a memory he could not understand. The more he tried to forget, the stronger it came back. One morning, before the sun fully rose, alarms rang at the west gate. A scavenger caravan had been attacked in the wastes. Evan put on his armor, checked his ammo cells, and walked through the fog toward the gate. Guards nodded at him but did not speak. They all knew the same truth. Beasts were seen near the walls. Evan would be sent. He followed the tracks for hours. Broken metal crates, blood on sand, a hover sled split in two. The beasts that attacked were fast and brutal, with bone armor and long claws. Evan killed 2 before he even reached the caravan. Their bodies steamed in the cold morning air. When he finally returned to the colony, dragging one of the beasts behind him, children stared with wide eyes. Adults whispered about how big the thing was. Guards scanned the corpse, counted glands and bone plates, then transferred credits to Evan's wrist device. It was just another day. Another kill. Another cold victory. Evan turned to go home, already thinking about medicine for his mother. But a voice stopped him, small, tired, and strangely steady. "Are you the one who kills beasts for money?" Evan looked to his side and saw a thin girl, maybe 13 years old, wearing a coat too big for her. Her dark eyes did not blink. They studied him like she wanted to measure his soul. Evan hesitated. "Yes," he said at last. "That's me." He did not know it yet, but that moment would change his entire life. Because that girl was not looking for help or safety or protection. She was looking for the truth, and truth was more dangerous than any beast he had ever hunted. The girl did not flinch when Evan stared at her. She didn't step back. She didn't smile. She just stood there, small and fragile in her oversized coat, as if her body held more weight than the world could bear. For a moment, Evan wanted to tell her to leave. Kids didn't belong out here. Kids didn't survive where hunters went. "You kill beasts for money," she repeated softly. "But will you? Kill the demon for the truth." Evan froze. The word hit him like a pulse in his chest. Demon. Everyone in Vassenfor knew it as a legend. A story parents whispered to children to keep them inside the walls. A creature from the dead zones that could move between shadows, take minds, steal people. Hunters avoided it. No one dared chase it, because those who did never returned. Evan swallowed hard. "There is no demon," he said, trying to sound calm. But his voice shook slightly. She shook her head, her dark eyes bright and unyielding. "There is. I've seen it. I know where it lives. I need you to go with me." Evan wanted to laugh. Go with her, into the dead zones, where no human survived more than a day. His hands itched toward his rifle, not to shoot her, but to steady the nerves twisting in his chest. "Kid, this isn't a game. Beasts, radiation, storms. You won't last a day out there." She took a step closer, her voice firmer. "I've survived. You can survive. I just need you to help me. Not for money, not for glory, for truth." Evan frowned. He had never hunted for truth. He hunted for credits. He hunted to live. Truth didn't feed a sick mother, didn't pay the rent, didn't repair broken armor. Truth only burned in your mind. And yet, there was something in her eyes, a desperation that reminded him of the fire in his own dreams. He shook his head. "Why me?" "You hunt beasts," she said. "You are the best, and I can't go alone. The demon, it's not like the creatures you kill. It watches, it chooses, and it's smart. Too smart for anyone else." Evan studied her. The girl was thin, pale, and trembling just a little, but there was no fear in her eyes, only determination. And the determination reminded him of something he had buried long ago, hope. "You don't pay me," he said finally. "I don't work for free. I don't risk my life for riddles." She looked down for a moment, then back up, her gaze sharper than a hunter's knife. "Not for money," she said again. "Not for riddles. For the truth about what happened to my family. And maybe the truth about you too." Evan's chest tightened. His life was measured in kills and credits, but dreams, those terrible burning dreams, had been following him for years. Every night he saw towers burning, heard screams, and felt smoke wrap around him like chains. He had always thought they were memories from nightmares, but what if they were not? He felt something he had not felt in a long time, curiosity and fear, and the stirrings of something dangerous, something human. Where do we start? He asked finally, his voice low. He didn't want to admit it, but the truth had begun to claw at his mind. The girl smiled faintly, just a little, and it seemed to light up the dull morning around them. At the edge of the dead zone, beyond the walls, where the ground is broken and the sky burns. That's where it lives. I think. Evan's hand brushed the rifle at his side. The dead zone was unforgiving. Radiation storms, mutant predators, and twisted terrain. He had survived, but barely. One wrong step and the ground could swallow you. One wrong choice and the demon, whatever it was, would decide your fate. You're serious? He said. I am, she said. Evan sighed. He had promised himself long ago never to chase stories or legends. But something in her voice, in her eyes, stirred a part of him he had tried to bury under years of hunting, years of survival, years of dead beasts. What's your name? He asked Lyra. She said. Evan, he said, hesitating. Listen, if we do this, it's not a game. You stay close. You obey. You survive by following me. Understand? Lyra nodded. I understand. For the first time, Evan felt the old weight in his chest, the one carried by nightmares, shift slightly. He did not yet know what awaited him, what horrors, what truths. But he felt a spark of something human, something unbroken. Then let's go, he said, and turned toward the wall gate. Lyra followed silently, her small figure moving with determination. Around them, the colony woke slowly. Guards and merchants glanced at them, but no one dared speak. They knew something was different today. A hunter walking with a girl into the unknown. That was a story even Vassenfor would whisper about later. As they left the walls behind, Evan felt the wind change. It smelled of dust, metal, and secrets. And somewhere far ahead, the dead zone waited silent, endless, and hungry. Evan did not know it yet, but this journey would burn everything he thought he knew. It would test him in ways beasts never could, and it would ask questions he might not be ready to answer. But Lyra's voice whispered in his mind, soft but insistent. You kill beasts for money, but will you kill the demon for the truth? Evan gripped his rifle tighter. Somehow, he already knew the answer would define him forever. The dead zone began where the last energy wall flickered, its hum fading into a distant echo. Beyond it, the world was quiet to quiet. The sand stretched like pale ash, broken only by jagged metal skeletons of old ships and twisted alien trees. The sky was dim, the orange sun hiding behind clouds of dust that never seemed to settle. Evan's hoversled hummed as he led the way, Lyra holding on tight behind him. Her small hands gripped his jacket, but she did not speak. She did not look afraid. She watched the wasteland with sharp, calculating eyes, as if she could see through every shadow. This place, she finally whispered, her voice trembling slightly, it's like my nightmares. Evan did not answer. He did not need to. The smell of metal and rot, the distant cries of creatures moving in the shadows. The way the ground seemed alive of it confirmed that the dead zone was not for ordinary people, not even for the strongest hunters. Hours passed. The sun dipped lower. Dust devils danced over the ruins like restless spirits. Evan scanned the horizon constantly, rifle ready. He could feel eyes on them, not human eyes. Something else, something patient, something that waited Have you seen it? Evan asked finally, breaking the silence. Lyra shook her head. No, not yet. But I've felt it. Always watching, always learning. Evan nodded. He knew that feeling. Hunters felt it when a creature was clever enough to stalk them, smart enough to predict their moves. But this was different. This presence did not hunt for food. It observed. It judged. Night fell quickly. They set up camp under the broken hull of an old cargo ship, its metal ribs jutting toward the sky like black bones. Evan ignited a small coil stove, cooking the last of his ration packs. Lyra sat cross-legged, hugging her knees, staring at the flickering orange flame. You shouldn't be out here, he said quietly. One wrong step. Radiation, predators, storms, and you're gone. I can survive, she said softly. I survived when my village burned. I survived when they left me. I can survive this too. Evan looked at her, studying the girl who had endured more than most adults could bear. Her courage was not reckless. It was forged from fire, loss, and grief. He had hunted countless beasts, but he had never faced a human with that kind of determination. Do you know what you're really chasing? He asked. The truth, she said without hesitation. About my family. About what really happened that night. About everything. And I think you might know too. Evan frowned. How could a girl so young speak of truth with such certainty? His dreams stirred uncomfortably. The burning tower, the smoke, the screaming child, it was all still there. Could she see it too? A sound interrupted them, a low, grinding echo from the distance. The ground vibrated faintly beneath the sled. Evan froze. Did you hear that? Lyra whispered. Beast, he said quietly. Or worse. Shadows moved between broken pillars of metal. Shapes larger than any mutant beast Evan had ever faced, moving with unnatural grace. He raised his rifle, scanning the darkness, every muscle tight. The shadows stopped, as if waiting for him. A low hum, like electricity and metal singing together, filled the air. The hairs on Evan's arms stood on end. He realized this was not a beast. It was not animal. It was something else, entirely intelligent, patient, and aware. Lyra reached for his hand, gripping it tightly. It's here, she whispered. I can feel it. Evan swallowed hard. His mind raced. Everything he had hunted before, the claws, the fangs, the mutations, none of them compared to this presence. He felt fear, yes, but also something deeper, curiosity, something human. He nodded slowly to Lyra. Stay close. Don't move unless I tell you. Whatever it is, it knows we're here, and it's waiting. The night stretched on. The dead zone seemed to close in around them, every sound magnified. Wind rustled broken metal like whispers. Distant cries echoed like someone calling from the edge of the world. Evan felt the weight of countless eyes on them, watching, calculating. Lyra didn't flinch. She stayed beside him, silent, breathing slowly. Her courage burned brighter than any fear he had ever known. Evan thought about the question she had asked. Will you kill the demon for the truth? For the first time, he did not think about credits. He did not think about survival. He thought about answers, about fire and smoke and dreams that refused to die, about the girl who had risked everything to seek the truth, and somewhere deep in the shadows, he knew the demon, or whatever it was watching them, waiting for the moment it would step out. Evan gripped his rifle tighter, feeling the hum of the dead zone beneath his boots. He could feel that this night, this journey, was only the beginning, and that when the truth revealed itself, nothing would ever be the same again. By dawn, the dead zone had grown colder. The wind cut through Evan's armor like a knife. Dust and ash swirled around them, turning the horizon into a blur of grey and orange. Evan guided the hover sled over cracked ground and jagged debris, careful to avoid the deep fissures hidden beneath layers of dust. Lyra held tightly, her eyes scanning every shadow, every shape. Finally, they reached it. The tower, it rose from the wasteland like a wounded giant, leaning slightly as if carrying the weight of centuries. Its black metal panels glimmered faintly, pulsing like slow, tired heartbeats. Broken cables dangled from the sides, swaying with the wind. Smoke curls trailed from the top, but it wasn't fire, it was as if the tower itself exhaled. Lyra's breath caught. "It's the same," she whispered. Evan looked closer, feeling a strange familiarity in the structure. The burning tower of his dreams, the one that haunted him every night, and now it stood before him, real, silent, and waiting. They approached carefully. Broken furniture and melted machines littered the ground outside. The smell of metal and decay was thick, almost choking. Evan's rifle remained raised, his fingers tight on the trigger. Nothing alive should survive here, yet every instinct told him something watched. "Stay behind me," he said quietly. "Whatever's here, it's not like the beasts we've killed." Lyra nodded, stepping close, her small hands gripping his jacket. Her eyes, though wide with fear, burned with determination. Evan felt a pang of something familiar, the same fire he saw in Hunter's eyes long ago, but purer. Less about survival, more about justice. They entered through a jagged hole where the main doors had melted. Inside, walls were scorched, cables hung like vines, and broken machines emitted faint sparks. The air was thick, heavy with heat and memory. Somewhere in the shadows, a low hum pulsed a rhythm not natural, but deliberate, intelligent. Evan scanned the hall. "It's here," he whispered, almost to himself. Lyra swallowed hard. I can feel it too." A corner of the room held something that made Lyra pause. A small pile of melted toys, a half-burned family photo, 2 adults smiling, holding a child Lyra. Her fingers trembled as she reached for the photo. Brushing off dust, Evan watched her, silently. He had hunted beasts that tore families apart, but nothing in his years prepared him for this. The silence was heavy, filled with questions and memories. Suddenly, movement. Smooth, deliberate, almost liquid. From the far side of the room, a figure emerged. Taller than any human, its body dark, metal and pale skin combined. Its eyes glowed gold, and tendrils like cables moved gently around its head. It did not walk. It glided. Evan froze. This was no beast. This was something else. Something aware. Something terrifying. The figure stopped, just 3 meters away. Then, without moving its mouth, a voice filled the room. Clear, calm, echoing in their minds. Lyra, her breath caught. "You know my name," she whispered, the creature's eyes focused on her. "I know everything about you," it said. "I know what you feared, what you lost, what you survived." Evan tightened his grip on the rifle, heart pounding. What are you?" "I am not what your people call a demon," the figure replied. I ended what had to be ended. I saved what could be saved. Your family, your village. The fire was inevitable. I offered protection. Lyra's voice shook. You burned them. You burned everything. I did not burn, it said calmly. The reactor ruptured. Flames followed. I tried to contain it. Your mother chose you. She wanted you to live. That choice is what brought you here. Evan felt his chest tighten. Memories he could not understand pressed against his mind. The tower, the fire, the screams. His dreams weren't dreams. They were warnings, memories he had buried. Lyra stepped closer, voice trembling. Then, you are not evil. The creature's gaze softened, but remained steady. I am what survival demanded. Monsters are defined by who survives them, not who kills them. Evan lowered his rifle slowly. Fear remained, but so did understanding. The truth the thing Lyra had risked everything for was not simple. It was heavy, painful, and real outside. The dead zone seemed to breathe. The wind carried whispers of memory and regret. And for the first time, Evan realized survival was not just about killing beasts. Sometimes it was about seeing the truth and choosing what to do with it. Lyra looked up at him, eyes wide and unafraid. What now? Evan took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the past, the dead, and the unknown pressing on him. Now we listen, and we learn, and somewhere in the shadows of the ruined tower, the creature watched them, patient and silent, as if deciding what the future would hold. The ruined tower was quiet now, but the silence was heavy, filled with weighty memories. Dust settled on broken floors. Metal groaned as the wind pushed through fractured walls. Evan and Lyra stood together, the photo of her family still clutched in her trembling hands. The figure, the so-called demon, remained at the far end of the hall, motionless. It didn't move like a predator. It didn't breathe like a human. Yet somehow its presence filled the space, demanding attention, forcing both of them to feel everything they had tried to ignore: the fear, the loss, and the longing for answers. You saw it all, Lyra whispered, voice quivering. The fire, the people, my parents. You were there. I was, the creature said, its voice calm but echoing inside their minds. I could not stop it all. The flames were beyond control. But I could save what mattered most. Evan's rifle was lowered, but his hands trembled slightly. He had hunted creatures that tore through villages, that ripped people apart, that ended lives in seconds. But this was different. This was intelligence, memory, and emotion. A being that made choices, not instinct. Lyra's eyes burned with questions. You saved me. Why? Why leave me alive when everyone else, when my family, burned? Because your mother asked me to, the figure replied softly. She wanted her child to survive. She gave me her life in exchange for yours. Evan took a step back, processing the words. He had seen grief before, but nothing like this. A child standing in the ashes of her family, holding memories that could have broken her, yet refusing to crumble. He felt a strange admiration stir in his chest. Humans survived. They endured, and sometimes, even when everything was lost, they carried hope like a weapon. Lyra's voice cracked. But everyone told me it was a monster. They said it destroyed everything. And in your pain, that was easier to believe, the creature said. Humans need monsters to hide from truths too difficult to face. You were taught to hate me, but I did not choose destruction. I chose to end suffering. Evan stepped forward cautiously. End suffering, you mean? You killed them. No, the creature corrected. I freed them. Their minds had been shattered by radiation, fire, fear. The human body remained, but life had gone. I gave them silence. Pain is not always survived, but death can be mercy. Lyra's knees buckled, and Evan caught her. She hugged him, trembling, tears running down her cheeks. I thought everyone was gone because of evil. I thought there was no truth. Truth is always hard, Evan said softly, looking at the creature. And sometimes it's not what you want to hear. The creature tilted its head slightly. Humans are remarkable, it said. Even when faced with loss, with fire, with lies, they keep searching. They keep asking questions. Even now, this child seeks what you fear to know. Evan looked at Lyra. Her small hands clung to the photo of her family, but her eyes were bright with understanding. She was learning the truth, even when it hurt, even when it burned her from the inside. And somehow, he felt pride not for her, but for humanity itself. They survived when other species would have crumbled. They questioned, they endured, they sought. Lyra whispered again, this time steadier. So, you're not a monster. No, the figure said. I am what necessity made me. I am what survival required. Monsters are only monsters when humans write them as such. Evan swallowed hard. The words sank deep. For years, he had killed creatures and called them monsters. He had lived with the idea that strength alone meant survival. But this was different. Understanding, mercy, choice, these were the real signs of power. Humans, he realized, had that power too. He looked down at Lyra, who nodded slowly. Together, they had faced the truth. Painful, bitter, and undeniable, but the truth was theirs now. They did not need lies. They did not need fear. The creature watched them, silent, patient. Its eyes glimmered gold in the fading light. Then, almost imperceptibly, it began to step back toward the shadows, its body gliding effortlessly over the broken floor. You now hold the truth, it said. Use it wisely. And remember, monsters are not always what you fear. Sometimes, the real monsters are the lies people tell themselves. Evan watched it disappear into the darkness of the ruined tower. Lyra released her grip on him, standing straighter, her face pale but resolute. We have the truth, she said softly. Even if it hurts. Even if it changes everything. Evan nodded, feeling the weight of her words. The dead zone was still dangerous, still silent, still full of unknown threats. But they had learned something more important than survival. They had learned that humans were capable of understanding, of mercy, and of courage even when facing beings beyond comprehension. And in that knowledge, Evan felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope for Lyra, for himself, and for humanity. The journey into the dead zone was no longer just about life or death. It was about truth, and sometimes, he realized, truth was stronger than any weapon. The dead zone was silent after the encounter. The ruined tower loomed behind them, its black metal pulsing faintly, like the heartbeat of something that refused to die. Evan and Lyra stood just outside the wreckage, the wind stirring dust and ash around their boots. Every sound echoed strangely, like the land itself was listening. Lyra hugged the photo of her family close to her chest. She didn't speak for a long time. Her eyes were fixed on the horizon, but Evan could see the storm of thoughts inside her. Questions, fear, sorrow, and finally, determination. Evan broke the silence. You need to know. There's more to what happened in your village. More than just fire. More than just the demon. Humans made mistakes too. Lyra's head snapped toward him. Mistakes? What do you mean? He took a deep breath, unsure how to explain the harsh truth. Sometimes humans panic when things go wrong. They make choices that destroy things, destroy people, even when they think it's right. Your family, your village, they were caught in that. The demon didn't start the fire. The fire was the result of humans trying to control something too powerful. Lyra's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't look away. Then, all this time, I blamed the wrong thing. Blame isn't what matters, Evan said quietly. Understanding is. Surviving is. Learning what really happened is stronger than hate. The wind blew harder, carrying whispers from the ruins. Evan felt them brush against his mind, memories of smoke, fire, and screams from his own past. The dreams he had tried to ignore came back, sharper now. The same burning tower, the same child's screams, the same golden-eyed figure. His chest ached as if he had been holding all the fire inside for years. He began, but his voice caught. He looked down at Lyra. I dreamed of this place. I dreamed of the fire. I dreamed of a child crying. I didn't know why. Until now. The truth isn't just yours. It's mine too. Lyra's hand found his. She squeezed it lightly, grounding him. Then, maybe we were meant to find this truth together, she whispered. Evan nodded. Maybe. They continued through the wasteland, toward the place where the demon had vanished. Every step was careful, measured. The terrain was jagged, and shadows seemed to move with intent. Every ruined ship, every blackened spire reminded them of what was lost, not just Lyra's family, but countless lives that had been destroyed in mistakes, in fear, in survival. Suddenly, a distant hum rose from the horizon. Low, deep, almost melodic, but carrying a weight that pressed against their chests. Evan froze. Lyra gripped his sleeve. It's the demon, she whispered. It's calling. All warning us. Evan tightened his grip on the rifle, though he knew this wasn't a fight he could win with weapons. Stay close, he said. Whatever it wants. It's not like the beasts we kill. It's smarter than us, stronger than us, and it sees everything. They followed the sound carefully, walking through broken terrain, past the charred remains of alien machines and blackened skeletons. Each step felt heavier than the last, as if the land itself weighed on them, testing their resolve. Finally, they reached a clearing. The ground was scorched black, and a strange hum pulsed from the center. The demon stood there, or something like it. Its form shimmered, almost like it was made of smoke and metal at once. Its golden eyes glimmered, and Evan felt them pierce straight into his mind. You have learned, the voice said, echoing in their heads. You have seen what many refuse to face. You have endured fire, loss, and lies, and yet you are still standing. Lyra stepped forward, trembling but unafraid. We wanted the truth, even if it hurts. Even if it changes everything. The demon's eyes softened, almost imperceptibly. Then the truth is yours. Not just about what happened, but about yourselves. Strength is not measured in weapons or survival alone. It is measured in understanding, in mercy, in courage to face what is real. Evan felt something shift inside him. For years, he had lived only to survive, only to kill for credits. But now, standing here with Lyra, facing a being beyond comprehension, he realized the truth he had been seeking was not about monsters or fire. It was about humans, about endurance, about hope. Lyra turned to him, her voice quiet but steady. "Do you understand now?" Evan looked at her, then at the demon, and nodded. "Yes, the truth. It's bigger than fear, bigger than hate, bigger than fire." The demon tilted its head, as if acknowledging their understanding. Then, slowly, it stepped back, fading into the shadows of the wasteland. Its voice lingered, soft but certain. Humans endure. Humans question. Humans survive. That is why you are feared. That is why you are strong. Remember this. Evan exhaled, his chest heavy but lighter than it had been in years. Lyra's hand found his again. Together, they looked at the ruins around them, at the scorched earth, and at the fading horizon. For the first time in years, they felt not just survival, but purpose. The dead zone had tested them, shown them pain, fear, and loss. But it had also revealed something far stronger: truth, courage, and the unyielding spirit of humanity. And that spirit, Evan realized, could survive anything, even demons. The dead zone was quiet as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in